show up.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay. Okay, so we'll just wait a few more minutes.
Yeah.
I could open up my slides, or should I wait till you and do all that?
You should be able to on your end.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining.
Whoop. And we'll do the slideshow. Okay. People coming in from all over the place.
Right. We'll give it another minute here.
Great. While it's 76 and breezy and cool before it goes back to 90, whatever it is.
Right. It looks like it's slowed down. If you've just joined, welcome. Thanks for joining us. I think we'll go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie Espinosa. I'm one of the Associate Deans of Students in the college, and I oversee the College Academic and Student Services Office, which helps with your placement exam posting, transfer credit evaluations, graduation clearance, a handful of things like that. I just have a couple housekeeping items to share, and then I'm going to pass it off to Kathy Bauman from the Chicago Language Center. If you are still awaiting a chemistry placement, that is coming soon. So stay tuned. Probably will be posted by the end of the day today. So thanks for your patience on those. If you did not get an invitation to the placement exams in Canvas, it's really important that you have claimed your CNET ID and set up your UChicago email address. Without those two things in place, you can't be added to placements in Canvas. So please make sure that you take care of that. If you did not take your placement exams on time, we are monitoring throughout the summer for those to be submitted. So just go ahead and take it as soon as you can. Same if you are submitting AP scores or IB scores. If you haven't already done that, just do it as soon as you can, and we will adjust your placements accordingly when we get that information in. So I'm going to pass it off to Kathy, though. She's really our main host for today. And the Q&A is open, so feel free to submit questions there as we're discussing, and we'll tackle those towards the end.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Carrie. Hello, everyone. And it's exciting to be here with you. I know you're coming in from all over the country and all over the world, and that's exciting for us in the Language Center. We also know that students at the University of Chicago already speak multiple languages, whether you're an international student or a North American student who speaks another language at home. We have a lot of languages going on. The Chicago Language Center is in Cobb Hall, one of the classroom buildings. And these are some lists of the huge range of languages we offer at the University of Chicago, especially a lot of modern languages, as you can see, and then also a lot of ancient languages. That's because of our Middle Eastern Studies department. There are ancient languages taught in almost every department, and then in our divinity school, and of course in the classics department. So there are a lot of languages to choose from, whether you want to continue learning a language you know or you want to start a new language. The Chicago Language Center works most closely with everybody who teaches language at the university to help them teach better and test better. And one of our other main missions is to reframe language study. And that's something I hope I can convince you that it's not just a box you check for your requirement, but it's really a set of skills that will not only enhance everything you do as a student, but really broaden your career opportunities when you leave us in several years. Language skills are something that can be used in every discipline and can be used whether you go into the workforce or into graduate school or into a professional school. And so that's how we think about teaching and learning languages as a real world skill. We also have an Office of Language Assessment, and that assessment helps us evaluate our teaching, but it also makes it possible to give you some credentials that document your language proficiency, as we call it, or your real world language skills. And I'll say more about that a little bit later this afternoon or this evening, depending on, or this morning, depending on where you might be in the world. So the purpose of this session is not to answer questions about your placement tests, even though I know that's something you're probably thinking about. And Carrie mentioned that if you took it late, you will be able to, they'll still be capturing those scores and that you need to claim your CNET to have access to that site. But that's not really the purpose of this session. If you go to our website for the Language Center, you'll find information about language placement exams if you need that information, but you'll need your CNET in any case, and you can access those tests. Another thing you'll find on our website is what we call the language advising contacts, and that's a list of everybody across the languages that you can contact if you have a question about your placement or the course sequences or studying that language. And all of these people are basically standing by this summer and very ready to answer your questions and probably try to convince you to take their language and study their language. So that information is available to you as well as everyone in Carrie's offices because they're handling the actual scoring of the tests. The purpose of this session is also not to answer questions about the language competency requirement. That information is available to you in the college catalog. If you go to the college catalog and click on the core, you'll see a link to language competence. And if you open that up, you'll see the many, many ways you can satisfy the language requirement. You can find that in the college catalog. If you have questions about that, you can send an email to me or you can send an email to Carrie and we'll help you. There are quite a few different ways that you can get that done. So that information is available to you in a couple of different places online or in the college catalog, also online. So the purpose of this session is for me to share with you how language proficiency, as I just said, can really enhance and sort of deepen your studies here at the University of Chicago and your career opportunities, to learn about some of the certifications and credentials and honors you can gain while a student at the university, to learn how language study or language knowledge can intersect with study abroad, opportunities, fellowships, research, and other opportunities, and also learn about some of the events and the advising that's possible and more. So this is a big information session. And also I really see myself as the campus cheerleader for language learning. And that's what I'm really trying to convince you to keep learning a language you already know or start a new language or even learn more than one language. And a lot of students do that actually. I could spend a lot of time on these next three slides talking about the demand for people with language skills in the workforce and in careers. I'm just going to share these slides kind of quickly. This is a real demand out there from the employer side. So if you already know a language or already speak another language at home, or you're coming from another country where a language is spoken, you've already got a skill that's going to make you more competitive on the job market. Your language skills and your professional skills are going to be in demand when you finish your college degree. There are also a lot of opportunities for salaries, job surges. This is a national security association, the intelligence side of the government. There are careers and language possibilities there. And this is actually a rather long email that you can maybe go back and look at this recording or excuse me, slide about from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, about some of the false perceptions about language, which is that everybody speaks language, which is not the case. Um, and some of our biggest trading partners are speak different languages, and really more information about the demands on the side of employers. So I just want to emphasize that no matter what you're going to study, economics, chemistry, um, history, and of course, the humanities, divinity, whatever you're going to study, language skills make that study more deeper and more enhanced. Also, a lot of people assume that machine translation, and now we have AI in the mix, can do the same thing as someone who knows or reads or comprehends a language, but it's really not really the ability to synthesize or analyze is not going to be possible. You still need the knowledge of the language and culture to do that kind of reading and research in a language, or speaking or doing research in a language. And again, the idea that English as a lingua franca, this is really on the wane. Um, so there's this belief that everyone speaks English. That's not true. Everyone doesn't speak English and as their only language. And actually, a lot of people who live in other countries around the world know that language and another language. So if you want to be competitive out there in the big wide world, knowing another language is always going to be something that's a skill and very desirable. So thinking about your language studies, to just think about what you can do with language knowledge. So first of all, it's going to give you access to information and knowledge. So if you are studying history, you're going to be able to access information about world events or about history that other people who don't read or know that language, they cannot get to that information. You also get different perspectives. People doing research in China and writing about anything, whether it's medicine or business, have a different perspective, and that's going to impact the way they see research and the things they're researching. So, understanding those different perspectives across all disciplines, or even knowing that there are different perspectives, also enhances your studies. You're also going to be able to make connections with some of the faculty at U Chicago. The University of Chicago faculty is very, very international, very diverse. People are here from all over the world, and your ability to speak their language, use their language, will make connections possible. It also gives you opportunities for international study and research. There are opportunities through career advancement to do international internships, and there are opportunities through the faculty to do international research. That's something that I would say everybody across the entire university is trying to find ways to offer to specifically to undergraduates. So having those language skills makes you competitive. If you go abroad, and I hope you will go abroad, you're going to also have deeper connection with those global communities. It's sure maybe people speak English, but if you speak their language, and all of you who do know another language, you know that that gives you a deeper connection to people who have grown up with another language. And finally, knowing another language and having language skills gives you opportunities for fellowships and scholarships when you finish your degree, which seems like a long way off, but believe me, it'll be here before you know it. So there are all kinds of international fellowships, scholarships, opportunities across really every discipline that you will be competitive for with language skills. One of the things that we offer through our Office of Language Assessment are foreign language proficiency certifications. So here we're talking about language proficiency. Now you've heard me use that term a few times. So what do I mean when I say language proficiency? So this isn't the knowledge or what you know about language. Language proficiency is what you can do with language in the real world. So how can you function in the real world? Of course, you use the language and your knowledge of the language, but we measure at the University of Chicago in the Language Center and the Office of Language Assessment. We have tests that specifically measure your ability to function in the real world and also how your language ability prepares you to carry out real life objectives. So this is different than completing a course or finishing a textbook. This is really your ability in the real world. And also, as I've been saying, how your language skills serve you in a professional or academic career, really any career. We test at two levels, the practical proficiency level. This is your ability to function in personal settings and then some professional setting, maybe as an intern or in a study abroad setting. We also test at the advanced level. So this is a wider variety of contexts and settings, including all personal and many academic or professional settings. Um, to reach these levels in different languages can take different amounts of time. After 2 years of German, for example, you are eligible for the practical proficiency assessment and you should do well on that test. But more difficult languages and languages that are more different from English, for example, Chinese or Persian or Arabic, Korean, Japanese, those languages take 3 years of study to reach the practical proficiency level. For advanced, it's the same thing. It takes longer to reach the advanced levels in more difficult languages. So, but these certifications can be a goal for you and something, as I started saying in the very beginning, something to take out with you into the real world and really demonstrate how well you can function. If you pass these tests, and by the way, they don't cost anything, they're provided to you by the college. If you passed these assessments, you get a very handsome certificate. It looks like this. But what's really, I think, more useful to you if you think about career opportunities or applying to a professional school or applying for an internship is that the back of those certificates has a description of your language ability. And if you glance at this now on this slide, you can see that this is written not in sort of academic or teacher language. It's written in language that anybody, an employer, a professor, an admissions person, any of those people can understand what you can do and how well you can do it. So think about targeting and having one of the proficiency certifications as a goal, whether it's a new language, you're starting a new language, or continuing to study, these things are within reach, especially with the many study abroad opportunities, and I'll come to those in just a couple seconds. We also offer what are called language for specific purpose courses and tests, or called LSP in the language teaching world. And this is an area where you are learning the skills you need to function in a professional or job-related setting. So a usual sequence of, say, French classes, where you'd be learning language skills and learning about the culture, learning about literature, sometimes film, sometimes current events. That is not going to prepare you to work in a law office using French, for example. To be prepared for that, you need specific courses and specific tests. So we have a big language for specific purposes program in the Language Center. And currently there are two LSP courses, legal Spanish and Spanish for social service workers. That's for the Crown School graduate division here at Chicago. And there are other LSP courses under development by groups of language instructors working on research to research what do learners need to do in translation studies, for example, or what do they need to do in business economics. And we will be looking ahead to create exams to certify your ability to function in, say, business economics, and also developing coursework that prepares you specifically to work in that field. So this is an area that's growing at the University of Chicago. We're developing new LSP courses and tests all the time. And if you are interested in getting an LSP, getting LSP training or an LSP certification in a language, please let the language program know, because we need our own instructors to do this work and create these tests and create these classes. And the best way for that to happen is for the voices to come from the students themselves. Global Honors is a new program in the college. It lets college students take all the different things they're doing with language, but beyond language, international engagement, global engagement, and be recognized for it with an honors designation. So these the things you can do to earn global honors include things like coursework. They include our own foreign language proficiency certifications, but it also may be an internship in Japan. It might be an internship with a Brazilian company in New York. All right, so it's all we thought we came up with this idea 3 or 4 years ago, and we were pretty sure that our undergraduates at Chicago were doing all kinds of different, really interesting and really meaningful international and global things, but they didn't really have anywhere to collect all of them. So Global Honors lets you do that. It also incentivizes language studies since you can get Global Honors points for our tests. And this is open to all college students in all majors and minors. So this is the website. You may want to take a look at the Global Honors website if you have some time this summer. And of course, you do have time. And I hope you'll do that because you can take a look at the different components that are that you can use to get Global Honors. So the way it works is that you would self-enroll in a Canvas site. There's a very, very long list of different components. And every time you complete one of them, you earn points from 1 point to 4 points. When you hit 15 points, you are qualified for global honors. You'll be recognized for Global Honors at the Undergraduate Research Symposium. Global Honors appears on your transcript, just like any other honors designation. You'll be recognized at convocation. We give you a very nice certificate and a pin, and we have a really fun Global Honors reception at the very end of the spring quarter. There's the certificate and our wonderful pin. Um, And before I leave Global Honors, sometimes students ask, well, what will it sort of count for in the real world? And we see a lot of job position descriptions that ask for demonstrated intercultural competence or global engagement. And this honors designation would be a concrete piece of evidence that you have those skills. We also know that language study and this kind of global engagement, pre prepares you with a lot of the soft skills that many employers are looking for. Things like the ability to communicate with a lot of different kinds of people, the ability to work in a team, the ability to problem solve. So these global honors, I think, is a great way to show your employer or future employer or professional school a really important skill set, especially today. Study abroad. The University of Chicago has a really almost astounding array of different study abroad programs. Of course, we promote them in the Language Center because most of them will engage you with some language learning or language skills. I hope too this summer you'll take a look at the study abroad website. It isn't too early to start thinking about what kind of study abroad experience you might want to have at the University of Chicago. There are intensive language study abroad programs. There are study abroad programs that let you complete your civilization requirement. There are programs where you're enrolled at universities just like an international student. There are all kinds of programs. Many of them are just 1 quarter. It makes them very flexible. There's also summer funding to study language, specifically for studying language. So please take a look at that site. And of course, as I said, study abroad is a perfect way to advance your language skills. Um, when you study abroad, you hear and read language you will never hear in the classroom. You're just exposed to a much richer array of language, slang, idioms, very sort of advanced language advertising and even music. And there is some research now that shows that this intensive listening that happens when you're abroad really helps your speaking proficiency because you're gaining almost like a repertoire, almost an arsenal of language that you can use when you try to express yourself speaking and to some extent writing. And as I mentioned, you're not only gaining language skills, language proficiency, but you're getting cultural knowledge and intercultural competency that just really can't happen in the language classroom. You're going to have experiences where you're realizing, wow, they do things differently here, and I need to behave a little bit differently. But you're also learning that very lesson. Sometimes things are just different. And it's kind of a problem solving experience to figure out what's going on and why things seem to be happening in a different way, and then being able to function in that place. So it's really terrific problem solving skills. If you go on a study abroad program that is language focused, you can retake or take a placement exam. I've seen students jump over 1/4 of language. I've seen students, really ambitious students, jump over 2/4 of language. So, as I mentioned earlier, if you think you want to start learning a new language that's one of the more difficult languages, by starting the language as soon as you can and taking advantage of study abroad opportunities, you can definitely reach practical proficiency in languages, in a variety of languages. You can also possibly reach advanced proficiency, and I've seen many, many students reach practical proficiency in more than one language other than their mother tongue. So you have a lot of opportunities by combining study abroad with language classes, with these different opportunities to really advance your language skills and your cultural proficiency. Gotta get back to my little arrow. Um, there are a lot of here's a nice example of global honors components that count. You can see the point values there. So many of these things that are either happening in a um, study abroad or with language proficiency that will gain you global honors points. So just keep that in the back of your mind. And I also very often encourage students to look at those global honors components if you want to pursue global honors, because sometimes you think, gee, if I just take 1 more quarter of Portuguese, I can take I get global honors points for taking a less commonly taught language, and I'm eligible for the Portuguese practical proficiency assessment. So sometimes just 1/4 or one thing you can do can gain you some really great experience and the global honors designation. We work very closely with the College Center for Research and Fellowships. Um, this would be something you'd be pursuing. Research can be happening while you're an undergraduate, but also there are a lot of fellowships, scholarships, national and international opportunities for when you finish your college career. And I will tell you, and also our colleagues in the CCRF will tell you, that having high language proficiency makes you more competitive for these fellowships and scholarships, not just because you are prepared to go to another country and do research or work in some capacity, or study or whatever it might be, but also because you're showing that you have been able, especially if you study abroad, you know what it's like to go to a new place and find your footing and function there. And that's something that many of these programs are looking for. So this is another set of programs and opportunities to keep in mind when you're planning your courses, planning your goals as a college student. Okay, finally, there are a lot of events and things going on where you can have contact with all of my terrific colleagues who teach language. We teach over 50 languages, and every year, every during first week, we have a event called the Universe of Languages. It's right in front of Cobb Hall, and just about every language is represented there. Every department, also the study abroad office is there. The career advancement office is there. The area studies are there. Who am I missing? The Center for Research and Fellowships are there to answer your questions and give you more information, and also just to connect with the people that are working in those languages and with those offices. So that's going to be September 30th in the afternoon. Also, I should tell you that a lot of my language college colleagues bring some snacks from their culture or their language. I think the South Asian program always has what are those things called? Samosas, those dumplings from South Asia. So that's another advantage. The college also sponsors the Academic Opportunities Fair that's out on the main quad right the day before the Universe event. I think there they serve hamburgers and other snacks, basically dinner. You'll also find a lot of the languages out there. The Language Center will be out there. The Office of Language Assessment will be out there. We'll be advertising the Global Honors Program there. So you can come learn more and also get to know some of the people. We give the foreign language proficiency assessments in the autumn and winter quarters. You'll get emails about that um, from your advisors, and we also advertise them ourselves. Every January, there's a study abroad fair, and the Language Center is there to answer your questions or talk about the language opportunities in the study abroad context. The Chicago Language Center and the Office of Language Assessment have tabling events around campus where they're giving out information, trying to find out what languages and what test students might be interested in. So keep your eye out. I think they usually have free coffee. Um, and you can always email the people on the language advising contact list because there are RSOs, that stands for Registered Student Organizations. Oh man, Carrie, do you even know the number of RSOs? It's like 300. I mean, there are student clubs for anything you can think of. And of course, a lot of them are for languages or cultural activities within languages or countries or cultures. So if you are interested in going to movie nights or coffee hours or language tables, a good person to find out information from are the language advising contacts. There are also student events and there are departmental events. So there's lots of information around where you can make contact with other students that are interested in the things you are and also interested in the language you're learning. I should add one more thing here is that the English Language Institute, it's also part of the Chicago Language Center. They will set up a tandem relationship with you with an international student, maybe who speaks Portuguese, who wants to partner with a student who knows Portuguese or knows another language but wants to let them practice their English. So we have an English native speaker who wants to practice their Portuguese and a Portuguese native speaker who wants to practice their English. You meet together and speak one language for 30 minutes and the other language for 30 minutes. So the ELI if you're interested in doing that, our ELI has opportunities for that. And you can see them during the Universe of Languages or the Academic Opportunities Fair. And that's all I have. I'm going to stop sharing and my slides and see if Carrie, if there are any questions
Actually,
in the
nobody has
Q&A.
submitted any questions. But yeah, happy to address some more specific scenarios and questions you might have as an incoming student if anyone has any.
Right.
Give
And
it a minute.
I think very often the incoming students are in this blizzard of information mode. So I'm glad you're recording this. People can access it. And like I said, it's good to kind of nose around the websites on campus and just start looking at information and thinking about. I know that all of my language colleagues are very, very happy to answer your questions if you reach out to them directly. And I can also tell you that I answer every single email that I get. So if you have a question for me, please don't hesitate to send me an email. Any other questions?
Nothing has come in. If there aren't any questions, happy to wrap up and let you reach out to your individual language contact if you have particular concerns. This webinar will be posted on the summer webinar series webpage, the same webpage that you used to register to attend today's webinar.
Oh, great. Okay, super. Okay. Thanks,
Okay.
Carrie, and thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your summer, and we'll
Oh,
be excited to see you here in September.
there's one question that just came
Oh,
in. You mentioned that students could take the practical proficiency exam after 2 years of studying the language. What class would you have to complete for Spanish?
okay. That's a good question. So the third, we're on the quarter system at the University of Chicago. The third quarter of second year Spanish has a number 20300. So, but there are actually many languages are developing multiple courses at those levels with different content. So I think looking for the number 203 is the course you're going to want to have completed to be eligible to take the practical proficiency test in Spanish. That's a good question.
And then one more that's kind of related. For fulfillment of the language competence requirement for the
Mhm.
core, this is there are many ways to fulfill that requirement, but this
Yes.
one is about the proficiency exams. Must they pass both the advanced and practical
Mm.
proficiency exams or just the practical proficiency exam?
Okay, that's a very good question. Actually, there's another test called the competency exam, and that is pitched at the end of first year level. That is the test that you can take to complete the language requirement. So if you take the placement exam in Hindi and you place into the second year of Hindi and you don't plan to take any language classes, you can take the Hindi competency exam in January, and that will complete your language requirement. If you place into the third year of German, you could actually take the German practical proficiency test in the autumn or the spring, and that test would also complete your language requirement, and you'd have the bonus of getting practical proficiency certification. So it kind of depends on your placement and what your goal is for language learning. If you just want to get the requirement done, and that's certainly true for a lot of students. I don't agree with it, but I understand it, especially in some of the physical sciences. So if you have questions about your language requirement, and you can either ask your own college advisor, they know how it works, or you can write an email to me and I will be happy to answer your questions or even meet with you over Zoom. Anything else? Good questions.
Yeah.
Sounds like we have a good group coming in.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, one more.
Okay.
What level is the competency exam? Is it equivalent to a round AP level?
Boy, that's a tough one. The problem is that it's a very different test than the AP test. So the best, it's pitched, we say pitched, sort of aimed at the end of 1 year of language study. If you did really well on the AP, you're probably you're going to be probably fine for the competency exam, but we do ask that you take the placement exam because we know exactly how the placement exam maps onto our competency exam. So even if you have an AP score, it's a really good idea to take the placement exam just to have that on your record for anything you might want to do later on. I've had many meetings with students who didn't take the placement exam because they weren't, excuse me, planning on taking language, and then they change their mind, and then they need to take the exam. So it's just good to get that number and get that placement on your record. And it kind of tells you um, the opportunities you have. I should add too that if you place into the second year of a language, you are eligible for the foreign language acquisition grants. Those are called flags. Those are the grants for summer study all over the world. So if you place into second year Japanese, you could apply for a flag to go to Japan next summer and study Japanese for 8 weeks. And then come back and take the placement exam and come to the Japanese program. So having placement in the language can just be sort of a key into a lot of different opportunities. Anything else?
I think we're done. Thanks everyone for joining. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out. We will wrap up, but have a good rest of your day or evening, depending on where
Yeah.
you are.
And it's almost the weekend. Yeah, exactly. Bye bye, everyone. Take care.